Ambassador had served the Galactic Council for 300 years. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had watched stars die and new worlds come to life. He had met thousands of species from every corner of the known universe, but nothing in his long life had prepared him for this moment. The ship on his viewing screen was unlike anything he had ever seen before. It was massive. The flagship, his own vessel, was considered one of the largest ships in the galaxy. It could carry 10,000 soldiers and enough weapons to destroy a small moon, but the ship floating before them made his flagship look like a child's toy. The unknown vessel stretched across space like a sleeping giant. Its dark hull absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Strange symbols covered its surface, symbols that no translator could read, and from its sides extended weapons that made feel cold inside his four-chambered heart. "What is it?" asked Commander, his second-in-command. Was a young officer with bright green scales and nervous eyes. He had never seen combat. He had never faced the unknown, and right now he looked like he wanted to run away and hide. Could not blame him. "I do not know," admitted. He touched the communication panel with his long fingers. "Council ship Eternal Light to unknown vessel. Please identify yourself. You have entered protected space. State your purpose and origin." There was silence, long, terrible silence. Felt his crew holding their breath. 50 officers sat at their stations, all of them frozen with fear. The unknown ship did not move. It did not respond. It simply floated there, dark and quiet, like a predator waiting to strike. Then the communication panel lit up. "This is the HSS Avalon," said a voice. It was calm and clear, speaking in perfect galactic standard. "We are a vessel of the Human Federation. We come in peace and mean no harm to you or your people. We request permission to make contact." Human, the word meant nothing to. He had never heard of such a species. He quickly searched his database looking for any record of these beings called humans. He found nothing. No history, no home world, no information at all. They were completely unknown. "What should we do?" Ambassador asked. His voice was shaking. "Should we call for reinforcements? Should we prepare weapons?" Thought carefully. The unknown ship was larger than anything he had ever seen. If its weapons matched its size, then his flagship would be destroyed in seconds. Fighting was not an option. Running was not an option either. The only choice was to talk. "No," said slowly. "We will meet them, prepare a shuttle. I will go to their ship personally." His eyes went wide. "Ambassador, that is too dangerous. We know nothing about these creatures. They could be hostile. They could be monsters. They could be our future allies," interrupted. "Or they could be our destroyers. Either way, hiding behind our weapons will not help us. I must see them for myself. I must know what we are dealing with." 1 hour later, sat in a small shuttle, flying toward the massive human ship. 2 guards accompanied him, but he knew they would be useless if the humans wanted to harm him. This was not a mission of strength. This was a mission of trust. The human ship grew larger and larger as they approached. Up close, it was even more impressive. The hull was perfectly smooth, without a single scratch or mark. The weapons looked new, as if they had never been used, and the lights that glowed from within were warm and golden, not cold and harsh like most warships. A door opened in the side of the ship, revealing a docking bay. Guided his shuttle inside and landed gently on the metal floor. He took a deep breath, preparing himself for whatever waited outside. The shuttle door opened, and saw humans for the first time. They were smaller than he expected. Most species with such powerful ships were large and muscular, built for war and conquest. But these humans were different. They stood upright on 2 legs with soft skin and no scales or armor. Their bodies looked fragile, almost delicate, and their faces were the strangest part. They were smiling. A human stepped forward. He was taller than the others, with black hair and calm eyes. He wore a dark uniform with symbols on his chest, symbols that probably showed his rank. And when he spoke, his voice was the same one had heard on the communication panel. "Welcome to the Avalon," the human said. "I am Captain Park Ho. It is an honor to meet you, Ambassador." Stepped out of his shuttle slowly. His guards followed close behind, their hands on their weapons. But the humans did not seem bothered by this. They simply stood there, relaxed and calm, as if meeting unknown aliens was something they did every day. "I am Ambassador of the Collective," he said carefully. "I represent the Galactic Council. We have watched over this region of space for 10,000 years, but we have never seen your kind before. Where do you come from? What do you want?" Captain Ho's smile did not fade. "We come from a small planet called Earth. It is very far from here in a part of space that your people have not explored. As for what we want," he paused, thinking about his words. "We want to say hello. We have traveled a long way to find other life in the universe, and now that we have found you, we hope to become friends." Friends, such a simple word, such a strange concept for a warship. Looked around the docking bay. Everything was clean and organized. Crew members moved with purpose and discipline, and everywhere he looked he saw more of those strange smiles. These humans did not look like warriors. They looked like. He did not know what they looked like. "Your ship is very impressive," said carefully. "It is the largest vessel I have ever seen. And your weapons. I have never encountered such technology. You say you come in peace, but you travel in a machine of war. How can I trust your words?" Ho nodded as if he had expected this question. "You are right to be careful, Ambassador. Trust must be earned, not given freely. Let me show you something. Please follow me." He turned and walked toward a door at the far end of the bay, hesitated for a moment, then followed. His guards stayed close, still nervous, still ready for danger. They walked through long hallways filled with light and color. The walls were decorated with images of nature, green forests and blue oceans and yellow sunrises. Music played softly from hidden speakers, gentle melodies that made feel strangely peaceful. This did not feel like a warship. This felt like a home. Finally, they reached a large room with windows that looked out into space. In the center of the room was a table with food and drinks. Several humans sat at the table, waiting patiently. "This is our command team," Ho said. "Lieutenant, our weapons officer. Commander, our first officer. Dr. Lee Han-a, our chief medical officer. And Lieutenant Bay 1, our communications specialist." Each human nodded as their name was called. They all wore the same calm expression. They all showed the same strange friendliness. Studied them carefully. The one called was young, with sharp eyes and quick movements. She was the weapons officer, the one who controlled all those terrible guns, but she did not look cruel or dangerous. She looked excited, happy even. "Please sit," Ho said, gesturing to an empty chair. "You must have many questions. We have prepared refreshments that should be safe for your biology, and we have all the time in the universe to talk." Sat down slowly. His guard stood behind him, still watching the humans with suspicion, but the ambassador was beginning to feel something he had not expected. Curiosity. "Your weapons," said, accepting a drink from a human server. "They are more powerful than anything I have ever seen. With such weapons, you could conquer half the galaxy. You could destroy entire civilizations. Why do you not use them for war?" The humans looked at each other. Something passed between them, some shared understanding that could not read. Then, the weapons officer spoke for the first time. "We have fought many wars," she said quietly. "On our home world, we fought each other for thousands of years. We learned how terrible war can be. We learned how much pain it causes, and we decided that we never wanted to bring that pain to others." But the weapons started. "The weapons are for protection," interrupted gently. "Not for conquest. We built this ship to explore the universe, not to destroy it. But the universe can be dangerous. There are things out here that would harm us, that would harm anyone. So we carry weapons to defend ourselves, and to defend others if needed." did not know what to say. In all his years, he had never met a species like this. Every powerful civilization he had encountered used their power to dominate, to control, to conquer. That was the way of the universe. The strong ruled and the weak served. But these humans, they were different. "Tell me about your home," said, his voice softer now. "Tell me about this Earth." Ho smiled again, and this time saw something new in that smile. He saw pride. He saw love. He saw hope. "Earth is a beautiful world," Ho said. "It has mountains that touch the sky and oceans that go on forever. It has forests filled with life and deserts that glow under the stars. But the most beautiful thing about Earth is not the land or the water. It is the people." He leaned forward, his eyes bright with emotion. "We are not perfect, Ambassador. We have made many mistakes. We have hurt each other in terrible ways, but we have also learned from those mistakes. We have grown. We have changed. And now we want to share what we have learned with the rest of the universe." Felt something stir inside him. It was a feeling he had not experienced in a long, long time. "Hoping. The Galactic Council will want to meet you," he said finally. "They will be afraid of your power. They will be suspicious of your intentions. It will not be easy to convince them that you are truly peaceful." Ho nodded. "We understand, and we are patient. We will prove ourselves through actions, not words. However long it takes, we will show the universe who we really are." Stood up and extended his hand in the traditional gesture of respect. Ho looked at the gesture for a moment, then reached out and took his hand in his own. The ambassador felt the warmth of human skin against his scales. It was a strange sensation, but it was not unpleasant. "Then let us begin," said, "together." And in that moment, standing on a ship of war that dreamed of peace, knew that the universe would never be the same again. 3 days had passed since the first meeting. Ambassador had returned to the Galactic Council with news of the humans, and the reaction had been exactly what Captain Ho expected. Fear. The council chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of species. There were the tall, insect-like, with their clicking mandibles and compound eyes. There were the small, furry, who communicated through high-pitched whistles. There were the ancient, beings of pure energy who floated above their seats like ghosts. And there were many more, all of them watching the viewing screen with expressions of worry and doubt. On the screen was an image of the HSS Avalon. "This ship appeared without warning," said Hai, the leader of the assembly. He was a massive creature with gray skin and 4 powerful arms. His voice boomed through the chamber like thunder. "Our sensors did not detect it until it was already inside our borders. That means it has technology far beyond our own." The chamber erupted in anxious murmuring, stood in the center of the room, waiting for the noise to die down. "I have met with their captain," he said calmly. "I have spoken with their crew. They claim to come in peace. They say they only want friendship and understanding." "And you believe them?" demanded a representative known for his suspicious nature. His mandibles clicked angrily. "A ship of that size with weapons of that power, and they want nothing more than friendship. Do you take us for fools?" "I take you for wise leaders who should gather more information before making judgments," replied. "That is why I have invited the human captain to speak with us today." The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to the main door. Captain Ho walked in alone. He wore his formal uniform, dark blue with silver buttons. His hands were empty, showing that he carried no weapons, and on his face was that same calm, friendly expression that had seen on the Avalon. Behind him, barely visible through the door, stood 2 human guards. They did not enter the chamber. They simply waited outside, quiet and respectful. Leaned forward in his seat. "So you are the human, the one who commands that monster of a ship." "I am Captain Park Ho of the HSS Avalon," Ho replied, bowing his head slightly. "And I thank you for allowing me to speak with you today, Hai." "You will answer our questions," said. "It was not a request. And you will tell us the truth. We have ways of knowing when someone lies." Ho nodded. I expect nothing less. Please ask whatever you wish. Spoke first. Your ship has weapons that could destroy our entire fleet. Why should we not consider you a threat? Because weapons alone do not make someone a threat, Ho answered. Intent does, and our intent is peaceful. We did not come here to conquer or destroy. We came here to learn, to explore, and hopefully to make friends. Pretty words clicked. But words are easy. How can you prove your peaceful intentions? Ho thought for a moment. Would a demonstration help? The chamber went quiet again. His 4 arms crossed over his chest. What kind of demonstration? Allow me to show you what the Avalon can do, Ho said. Not to threaten you, but to be honest with you. You deserve to know what our capabilities are. Only then can you make an informed decision about whether to trust us. The council members looked at each other nervously. Showing off military power was usually a warning, a way of saying, do not challenge us or you will suffer. But Ho seemed to be offering something different. He was offering transparency. Stepped forward. I think this is a reasonable request. If we are to judge the humans, we should know what we are judging. After a long pause, nodded. Very well, but we will choose the location and the targets, and if we sense any aggression, we will respond with everything we have. Ho bowed again. Of course, we would expect nothing less. The next day, a small fleet of council ships gathered at the edge of a dead star system. There were no planets here, no life, nothing but empty rocks floating in the darkness. It was the perfect place for a weapons test. The HSS Avalon appeared without warning, sliding out of faster-than-light travel like a shadow emerging from deeper shadow. Even now, after seeing it several times, felt his breath catch in his throat. The ship was magnificent and terrifying at the same time. On the bridge of his own vessel, watched the human ship with narrow eyes. Beside him stood, and several other council representatives. They had come to see this demonstration themselves, unwilling to trust second-hand reports. Human vessel, said into the communication panel. We have prepared your targets, 3 asteroids each 100 kilometers in diameter. You may begin when ready. There was a brief pause, then Ho's voice came through the speaker. Understood, Hi, Lieutenant will conduct the demonstration. Please watch closely. On the Avalon sat at her weapons station. Her fingers moved across the control panel with practiced ease. Around her, the bridge crew worked in perfect coordination, everyone focused on their tasks. Ho stood in the center of the bridge, his hands behind his back. He looked calm, but knew him well enough to see the tension in his shoulders. This demonstration was important. If they made a mistake, if they seemed too aggressive or too eager to show their power, the council would see them as enemies. 3 targets confirmed, said. Permission to engage. Permission granted, Ho replied. Low power setting. We are showing capability, not destruction. Understood, sir. Pressed a button. On the viewing screens of every council ship, something incredible happened. A beam of light shot out from the Avalon, bright blue and impossibly fast. It struck the first asteroid dead center. The asteroid did not explode, it simply vanished. One moment it was there, 100 kilometers of solid rock. The next moment it was gone, not broken into pieces, not burned or melted, just gone. His 4 hands gripped the arms of his chair. What was that? Dimensional displacement beam, Ho explained over the communication channel. It moves matter to another dimension. The asteroid is not destroyed. It is simply somewhere else now, somewhere empty where it cannot harm anyone. Made a strange sound, somewhere between a gasp and a click. You moved. You moved 100-kilometer asteroid to another dimension, with one shot. Yes, said simply. Would you like to see the second target? No one answered. They were too shocked to speak. Pressed another button. This time a different weapon fired. It was a pulse of energy, golden and warm, that spread out like a wave. When it reached the second asteroid, something amazing happened. The asteroid began to glow. Then it began to change. Its rough surface smoothed out. Its dark color became bright and metallic. In seconds, the entire asteroid had transformed into a perfect sphere of pure metal. Transmutation beam, Ho explained. It can change the structure of matter at the atomic level. We use it to create resources from space debris. Nothing is wasted. Everything is transformed. Could not speak, neither could anyone else. Looked at her captain, he nodded. For the final demonstration, she said, we will show you our main weapon. Please do not be alarmed. This is at minimum power, 1% of full capacity. She pressed the third button. What happened next would be talked about for generations. A sound filled space, not through speakers or communication channels, through space itself. It was like music, like a song from the beginning of time, beautiful and terrible and impossible to ignore. Then the weapon fired. It was not light. It was not energy. It was something else, something that the council species had no name for. It poured out of the Avalon like a river of stars, flowing toward the third asteroid with gentle grace. When it touched the asteroid, the rock began to shake. Then it began to crack. Then, slowly and silently, it fell apart into millions of pieces, not violently, not explosively, gently like a flower losing its petals. And then the pieces were gone too, fading away into nothing as if they had never existed. Silence filled the communication channels. Every council representative stared at their screens, unable to process what they had just witnessed. Finally found his voice. What was that? Ho's voice was soft when he answered. We call it the harmony cannon. It disrupts the fundamental forces that hold matter together. At full power, it could destroy a planet. We have never used it at full power. We hope we never will. 1%, whispered. That was 1%. Yes. The silence returned. It lasted for a long time. Then something unexpected happened. A small ship detached from the Avalon and flew toward the Council fleet. It was not a fighter or a shuttle. It was something else, something covered in blinking lights and spinning sensors. What is that? Demanded. A gift, Ho said. It contains the full specifications of our weapon systems, everything we have, everything we can do. We give this to you freely so that you may study it and understand it. We have no secrets from you. Commander standing beside Ho on the bridge spoke up. In human culture, trust begins with openness. We show you our strength not to frighten you, but to prove that we hide nothing. You now know what we are capable of, and you know that we choose not to use that capability for harm. Looked at the small ship floating before his vessel. Inside that ship was knowledge that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. The humans were giving it away like it was nothing. Why? Asked finally. Why would you give us this? With this knowledge, we could build our own weapons. We could defend ourselves against you. Why give your enemies such power? Ho's answer was simple. Because you are not our enemies. You are our neighbors, and neighbors should be able to protect themselves. We do not want to rule you. We do not want you to fear us. We want to live beside you as equals. The council fleet was silent. Representatives from a dozen species looked at each other, not knowing what to say. Then's voice came through the communication channel. I told you they were different. I told you they were not like the others. Leaned back in his chair. His 4 hands relaxed, releasing their grip on the armrests. For the first time since the humans arrived, he did not look afraid. He looked thoughtful. Captain Ho, he said slowly, the council will need time to discuss what we have seen today, but I want you to know something. In all my years, I have never seen such power used with such restraint. I have never seen strength offered so freely. Whatever happens next, I will remember this moment. On the Avalon's bridge, Ho allowed himself a small smile. Thank you, Hai. We will wait for your decision, however long it takes. The communication channel closed. The demonstration was over. Dr. Hana appeared at Ho's side. She had been watching from the medical bay, ready in case anything went wrong. Now she looked at her captain with relief in her eyes. "That went well," she said quietly. Ho nodded, but his expression was serious. "It is only the beginning. We have shown them what we can do. Now we must show them who we are. That is the harder task." "They will learn," Hana said. "Give them time." Ho looked out at the council fleet, at the dozens of ships filled with beings who had never known humans before today. Some of them were still afraid. Some of them were still suspicious. But some of them, he hoped, were starting to understand. "Time," he repeated softly. "Yes, we have plenty of that." In the distance, the council ships began to turn and head back home. They carried with them the most powerful weapon technology in the known universe. And they carried something else too, something more important. They carried the first seeds of trust. 1 week after the weapons demonstration, the Galactic Council was still debating what to do about the humans. Some wanted to accept them immediately. Others wanted to send them away. And a few, led by, wanted to study the weapon technology and then demand that the humans leave. Captain Ho had expected this. Gaining trust took time. He was prepared to wait. But the universe had other plans. It was early morning on the Avalon when Lieutenant Bay 1 received the signal. She was alone at the communications station, sipping hot tea and watching the stars through the viewport. Most of the crew was still sleeping. The ship was quiet and peaceful. Then her console began to beep. One set down her tea and checked the incoming transmission. Her eyes went wide. She checked it again. Then she activated the emergency channel. "Captain, to the bridge," she said, her voice tight with urgency. "Captain Ho, to the bridge immediately." 3 minutes later, Ho arrived. His uniform was slightly wrinkled and his hair was messy from sleep, but his eyes were sharp and alert. Behind him came, and Hana, all of them responding to the emergency call. "What is it?" Ho asked. One pointed to her screen. "A distress signal, sir, coming from the Velar system about 4 light years from here." Leaned in to look at the data. "The Velar system, that is a colony world, is it not? Part of the collective?" "Yes, sir. About 2 million civilians live there, mostly farmers and miners." One's hands were shaking slightly. "The signal says they are under attack. Raiders, a large fleet." Ho's expression hardened. "Raiders, what kind?" "Unknown, sir. The signal is breaking up, but the colony is calling for help, they say. They say the council fleet cannot reach them in time." Silence fell over the bridge. Everyone knew what this meant. The council fleet was far away, probably days from the Velar system. By the time they arrived, the colony would be destroyed. 2 million people would be dead or captured. Unless someone else helped. Looked at her captain. "Sir, we can reach them in less than an hour. Our engines are faster than anything in this sector." "I know," Ho said quietly. "We have no obligation to help," pointed out. "The council has not accepted us yet. Some of them still see us as a threat. If we interfere in their territory without permission." "People will die," Hana interrupted. Her voice was soft but firm. "Children, families, they will die while we stand here talking about politics." Ho closed his eyes. He thought about his orders from Earth. He thought about the mission to make peaceful contact with alien civilizations. He thought about all the careful plans and diplomatic strategies. Then he thought about 2 million people screaming for help. "One," he said, opening his eyes. "Open a channel to the flagship, Ambassador specifically." "Yes, sir." The connection took a few moments to establish. When his face appeared on the screen, he looked tired and worried. He had obviously heard about the attack too. "Captain Ho said, I assume you received the distress signal." "I did. Ambassador, my ship can reach the Velar system in 53 minutes. We can help." His expression became complicated. "Captain, I appreciate the offer, but this is an internal matter. The Council has not given you permission to operate in our space. If you were to intervene. With respect, Ambassador, there is no time for debate. The raiders will reach the colony in less than 2 hours. Your fleet will not arrive for 3 days. We both know what will happen in that time. Was silent for a moment. His eyes showed pain, the pain of someone watching a disaster unfold and being unable to stop it. I cannot give you official permission, he said finally. The Council would never approve it, not yet. Ho nodded slowly. I understand. But, continued, his voice dropping to a near whisper, if a certain human ship happened to be passing through the area and happened to encounter raiders attacking innocent civilians, well, defending oneself and others from pirates is not a political act. It is simply the right thing to do. Ho felt a small smile cross his face. Thank you, Ambassador. Do not thank me yet, said. Save those people first, then we will talk about thanks. The channel closed. Ho turned to his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for orders. He saw determination in their eyes. He saw readiness. He saw no hesitation at all. All hands to battle stations, he said. Set course for the Velar system, maximum speed. The Avalon came to life. Lights flickered to red alert mode. Crew members ran to their positions. Engines hummed with power as they prepared for faster-than-light travel. In the weapons room, checked her systems one by one, targeting computers online, energy banks fully charged, missiles locked and ready. She had shown restraint during the demonstration. Now she might have to show something else entirely. In the medical bay, Hana prepared for casualties. She did not know what they would find at the colony. Burns, broken bones, radiation poisoning. She prepared for everything. Her team of nurses and doctors worked in focused silence, laying out supplies and warming up treatment pods. In the fighter hangar, Commander addressed his pilots. There were 40 of them, young men and women from all over Earth. They wore flight suits and carried helmets under their arms. They looked nervous but ready. Listen carefully, said. We do not know how many enemy ships we will face. We do not know their capabilities. What we do know is that innocent people are in danger. Our job is to protect them, whatever it takes. One of the pilots, a young woman named Me, raised her hand. Sir, what are the rules of engagement? His expression was serious. Disable if possible, destroy if necessary. We are not here to show mercy to those who prey on the helpless, but we are also not here to cause unnecessary death. Use your judgment and stay alive. The pilots nodded as one. They understood. On the bridge, Ho watched the countdown on his screen. 10 seconds to faster-than-light jump. 9, 8, 7. All systems ready, one reported. Weapons hot, added. Medical standing by, Hana said through the intercom. Fighters prepared for launch, confirmed. Ho gripped the arms of his chair. Jump. The stars stretched into lines. The universe blurred, and the Avalon shot forward like an arrow fired from a bow. 53 minutes later, they arrived. The Velar system was a mess. Debris floated everywhere, pieces of destroyed ships and broken stations. Fires burned on the surface of the main colony, visible even from orbit, and swarming around the planet like insects were the raiders. There were dozens of them, maybe 100, small, fast ships with crude weapons and ugly designs. They were attacking the colony from all sides, firing at buildings and chasing civilian transports trying to escape. Raiders confirmed, one said, her voice tight. Approximately 80 enemy vessels. No match for us individually, but their numbers are significant. Civilian casualties, Ho asked. Unknown, but I am reading multiple distress beacons on the surface. Many are coming from schools and hospitals. Schools, hospitals, children and sick people trapped and terrified. Ho's jaw tightened. Open a channel to all raider vessels. Channel open, sir. This is Captain Park Ho of the Human Federation ship Avalon. You are attacking innocent civilians. This stops now. Withdraw immediately or we will destroy you." For a moment there was only silence. Then a harsh voice came through the speakers, laughing. "Human, never heard of you. That is a big ship you have there, stranger. Looks expensive. Maybe we take it after we finish with these farmers." "This is your only warning," Ho said calmly. "Leave or die." More laughter. "One ship against 100. You are either brave or stupid. Either way, you are dead." The raiders turned toward the Avalon. Dozens of them, weapons charging, ready to swarm the larger vessel. Ho sighed. He had hoped they would be smart. He was disappointed but not surprised. He said quietly, "Defensive fire only. Target their weapons and engines. Leave their life support intact if possible." "Understood, sir." She pressed a button. The Avalon lit up with fire. It was not like the demonstration. That had been careful, controlled, meant to impress without frightening. This was something else. This was the Avalon defending itself, and it was terrifying. Beams of light shot out in all directions, each one perfectly aimed. They did not miss. They could not miss. Targeting computers adjusted for movement, for distance, for the smallest shift in position. And wherever the beams touched, raider ships went dark. Weapons exploded. Engines failed. Ship after ship lost power and began to drift, helpless. At the same time, the fighter hangar doors opened. 40 human fighters launched into space, spreading out in perfect formation. Led them personally, his ship at the front of the attack. "All wings engage," he ordered. "Protect the civilian transports. Nothing gets through." The fighters were small compared to the Avalon, but they were fast and deadly. They weaved between the raider ships, dodging clumsy attacks and returning fire with precision. Wherever they went, raiders fell. On the surface of the colony, people looked up at the sky. They saw explosions. They saw fire. They saw the huge human ship hanging above them like a guardian angel. And they felt hope. In the medical bay of the Avalon, Hana received her first patients. They were civilians from a transport that had been damaged during escape. Burns, broken bones, trauma. She worked quickly and efficiently, her team moving around her like a well-oiled machine. One of the patients was a child, a young girl with scared eyes and a wounded arm. Hana knelt beside her, speaking softly. "You are safe now," she said. "We are going to take care of you. What is your name?" "Myra," the girl whispered. "That is a beautiful name, Myra. I am Hana. I am a doctor. Can you be brave for me?" The girl nodded slowly. Hana smiled and got to work. Outside, the battle continued. But it was not really a battle anymore. It was a cleanup operation. The raiders had been confident when they faced farmers and miners. They had not expected a warship from another world. Within 20 minutes, it was over. 30 raider ships had been destroyed. The rest were disabled and drifting. Not a single one had escaped. And not a single human had been hurt. Ho looked at the aftermath on his screen. He saw the burning colony, the scattered debris, the helpless raider ships waiting to be captured. He felt no joy, only sadness and determination. "One," he said, "send a message to the colony. Tell them help has arrived. Tell them we are here to assist with rescue and recovery. Tell them," he paused, searching for the right words. "Tell them they are not alone." One nodded, tears in her eyes. "Yes, sir." The message went out, and on the surface of the colony, in shelters and hospitals and schools, 2 million people heard it. "Help has arrived. You are not alone." For the first time in hours, they allowed themselves to believe that they might survive. And far away, watching through long-range sensors, Ambassador saw everything. He saw the human ship defending strangers. He saw human pilots risking their lives for people they had never met. He saw human doctors healing wounds that had nothing to do with them. He saw what humanity really was. And he began to understand. The aftermath of the battle was quiet but busy. Human shuttles flew between the Avalon and the colony surface, carrying supplies, medical equipment, and rescue teams. The raider ships that had been disabled were being towed to secure locations, their crews arrested and waiting for trial. And everywhere, survivors were being found, treated, and cared for. Commander led the rescue operations on the ground. He stood in the ruins of what had once been a marketplace, directing teams of human soldiers and volunteers. Around him, buildings were collapsed or burning. The smell of smoke and fear filled the air. Team 3 moved to the eastern sector, he said into his communication device. We have reports of survivors trapped in a collapsed school. Team 4, continue working on the hospital. We need to get power restored as soon as possible. A young official approached him nervously. Her name was, and she had been the colony's emergency coordinator before the attack. Now she looked exhausted and overwhelmed, her green scales dull with dust and stress. Commander, she said, I do not know how to thank you. When we sent the distress signal, we did not believe anyone would come. The Council fleet was too far away. We thought we were going to die. Turned to face her, his expression was kind but serious. You do not need to thank us. This is simply what we do. But why? Asked. You are strangers, you owe us nothing. You had no reason to risk your lives for us. Was quiet for a moment. He looked around at the destruction, at the frightened survivors being led to safety, at the human soldiers working side by side with local emergency workers. On Earth, he said slowly, we have a saying. When you have the power to help, you have the responsibility to help. We did not ask for this power. We did not want it, but we have it. And that means we must use it for good. Stared at him. Your people really believe that? Yes, not all of us, not always. We are not perfect, but at our best this is who we are. Before could respond, a shout came from nearby. One of the rescue teams had found something, ran toward the sound, following close behind. They found a collapsed building, probably an apartment complex. Rescue workers were carefully moving debris, trying not to cause more damage, and from beneath the rubble came a sound. Crying, the crying of children. Dropped to his knees beside a small opening in the debris. He could see light inside, the glow of emergency lamps, and he could see movement. Hello, he called out. Can you hear me? We are here to help. A small voice answered, please, please help us, we are scared. Looked at the structure. It was unstable. Moving the wrong piece of debris could bring the whole thing down on whoever was trapped inside. This would require care and precision. He activated his communication device. Captain, we have survivors trapped in a collapsed building. Children, we need heavy equipment and structural support. Ho's voice came back immediately. On the way, hold position and keep them calm. Turned back to the opening. Help is coming. You are going to be okay. Can you tell me how many of you are in there? 7, the voice said. It was a young boy, probably not older than 10 years. 7 of us. We were in school when the building next door fell on us. Are any of you hurt? Some scratches. Min hurt her leg, but we are okay. Just please get us out. We will, promised. I give you my word. While they waited for equipment, kept talking to the children. He learned their names. The boy who had answered was called. The girl with the hurt leg was Min. There were 2 sets of twins, brothers named and sisters named Vila and Nora. And there was a baby, carried by an older girl named. Kept us together, said. When the building fell, everyone was screaming, but told us to stay calm. She found the emergency lamps. She made us a safe space. Smiled even though the children could not see it. Sounds very brave. She is. She wants to be a pilot when she grows up. She says she will fly ships across the whole galaxy. Maybe she will. I'm a pilot too. Maybe someday I can teach her. There was a pause. Then's voice came again, quieter this time. Are you really human? We learned about your ship in the news. Everyone was scared of you. Yes, I am human. You do not seem scary. Laugh softly. Thank you, I try not to be. The heavy equipment arrived. Human engineers set up support beams and began carefully removing debris. It was slow work, every piece checked before being moved. One mistake could kill everyone inside. Dr. Hana arrived with a medical team, ready to treat the children as soon as they were free. She watched the rescue operation with worried eyes, clutching her medical bag tightly. "How are they?" she asked. "Scared but stable, 7 children, one has a leg injury." Hana nodded. "We are ready." The work continued. Minutes felt like hours. The children inside grew quieter as they waited, conserving their energy. Kept talking to them, telling them stories about Earth, about oceans and mountains and forests. Things they had never seen, things they could barely imagine. Finally, after what seemed like forever, the last piece of debris was moved. Light flooded into the small space where the children had been hiding. Saw 7 young faces looking up at him, covered in dust but alive. Safe. "Come on," he said, reaching down. "Let us get you out of there." One by one, the children were lifted from the rubble. Came last, still carrying the baby in her arms. She was maybe 12 years old, with large eyes and a determined expression. When she emerged into the light, she looked at with something like wonder. "Thank you," she whispered. Nodded. "You did well, you kept everyone safe. You should be proud." Hana and her team immediately began checking the children for injuries. Min was taken to a stretcher, her leg carefully stabilized. The others were wrapped in blankets and given water. Medics checked them for shock and dehydration. Through it all, the citizens watched. Hundreds of them had gathered around the rescue site, witnessing everything. They saw human soldiers lifting children from danger. They saw human doctors treating the injured with gentle care. They saw strangers from another world treating their people like family. Stood among them, tears running down her scaled face. "They came for us," she said to no one in particular. "They really came for us." Hours passed. The rescue operations continued. More survivors were found. More injuries were treated. The humans worked without rest, without complaint, without asking for anything in return. On the Avalon, Captain Ho monitored everything from the bridge. He had not slept in over 20 hours, but he refused to rest while his crew was still working. On his screen, he could see reports coming in from all over the colony. Lives saved, families reunited, hope restored. One approached him with a cup of coffee. "You should rest, Captain." Ho accepted the coffee but shook his head. "Not yet, not until everyone is safe." "The Council is watching," one said quietly. "They have been monitoring our operations since we arrived. Every ship in the region has their sensors pointed at us." "Let them watch," Ho replied. "Let them see who we really are." One nodded and returned to her station. Outside, the sun began to set on the colony world. The fires were mostly out now, controlled by human firefighting teams and local emergency services working together. The streets were still filled with debris, but they were also filled with people helping each other. In a makeshift hospital, Hana finished treating her 100th patient of the day. She was exhausted, her uniform stained with blood and dirt, her hands aching from constant work. But when she looked around at the survivors, at the children playing in the corner, at the families holding each other, she felt something warm in her chest. This was why she became a doctor, this moment right here. A young mother approached her, holding a baby in her arms. The baby had been injured during the attack, a piece of debris cutting his head. Hana had treated him hours ago, closing the wound with careful stitches. "I wanted to thank you," the mother said. Her voice was thick with emotion. "You saved my son, you saved all of us." Hana smiled gently. "It was my honor. Your son is strong, he will heal well." The mother started to cry. "I did not believe the stories about humans. I thought you must be monsters with such powerful weapons, but you are not monsters, you are just people," Hana finished. Different from you, but not so different where it matters. We feel fear and hope and love just like you. We want to protect the people we care about just like you. And when we see others suffering, we want to help just like you." The mother reached out and took Hana's hand. Her scales were cool against Hana's warm skin. Thank you for everything." Hana squeezed her hand back. "You are welcome." On the bridge of the Avalon, a communication request came in. One checked the source and her eyes widened. "Captain," she said, "it is Hai. He is requesting to speak with you directly." Ho straightened in his chair. "Put him through." His face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired, but there was something different in his expression. The suspicion and fear that had been there before were gone. In their place was something else. "Respect." Captain Ho said, "I have been watching your operations for the past 12 hours. I have seen everything your people have done for the Velar colony." "We did only what was necessary," Ho replied. "No, you did far more than that," paused, seeming to struggle with his words. "When your ship first appeared, I thought you were a threat. I thought your power would be used against us. I was wrong." Ho waited, saying nothing. "The Galactic Council has been debating what to do about humanity for days," continued. "Some wanted to send you away. Some wanted to study you. Some wanted to prepare for war. But after today, after seeing what you have done..." He took a deep breath. "I am calling for an immediate vote. A vote to accept humanity as full members of the Galactic Council, and I will be voting yes." Ho felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his expression calm. "We are honored, Hai. You have earned this, Captain, not with your weapons or your technology, but with your compassion, your courage, your willingness to help strangers without expecting anything in return." His four hands came together in a gesture that Ho did not recognize. Later, he would learn it was the highest form of respect in his culture. "Welcome to the galaxy, humans. I think you will fit in just fine." The screen went dark. On the bridge, the crew was silent. Then one began to clap, joined her. Then the others. Soon the entire bridge was applauding, their cheers echoing through the ship. Ho allowed himself a small smile. They had come so far. They had faced so much fear and suspicion. And now, finally, they were being accepted. But as he looked down at the colony below, at the people still suffering and healing, he knew that this was just the beginning. They had proven themselves today, but tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tests, new opportunities to show the universe what humanity could be. He was ready. They all were. 1 month had passed since the battle at the Velar colony. The universe had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. The vote had passed, not unanimously, but with a strong majority. Humanity was now a full member of the Galactic Council, with all the rights and responsibilities that came with it. Human ambassadors had been sent to dozens of worlds. Trade agreements were being negotiated. Cultural exchanges were being planned. And everywhere, people were talking about the humans. On the children played games pretending to be human soldiers, rescuing imaginary victims from imaginary disasters. On the colonies, scientists studied the weapon technology that the humans had freely shared, amazed by its sophistication and frightened by its power. On the trading stations, merchants competed for the chance to do business with Earth. The humans had gone from unknown strangers to galactic celebrities in less than a month. Captain Ho stood on the observation deck of the Avalon, looking out at the stars. Behind him, the ship hummed with activity. They were preparing for their next mission, a diplomatic visit to a distant world that had requested human contact. The door opened. An ambassador entered. He had been traveling with the Avalon as the official council liaison, helping to smooth the path for humanity's introduction to the galaxy. "You look thoughtful," said, joining him at the window. "I am thinking about home," Ho admitted, "about Earth, about how far we have come." Tilted his head. "Tell me about your home. You spoke of it briefly when we first met, but I would like to know more." Ho smiled, a distant look in his eyes. "Earth is a small world by galactic standards. One sun, one moon, mostly water. We have been there for only a few 100,000 years. In cosmic terms, we are children. And yet you have accomplished so much. We have struggled, we have failed, we have hurt each other in terrible ways." Ho's voice grew softer. "There were times when we nearly destroyed ourselves. Wars that killed millions. Weapons that could have ended everything. Dark moments when hope seemed impossible." Listened in silence. "But we survived," Ho continued. "Every time we fell, we got back up. Every time we made a mistake, we learned from it. And slowly, painfully, we became better. Not perfect, never perfect, but better." "And now you travel the stars," said. "Yes, but we carry our history with us, the good and the bad. We remember what we were so that we never become that again." Was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice thoughtful. "When your ship first appeared in our space, I was afraid. I had seen powerful species before. I had watched them conquer and destroy and dominate. I thought you would be the same." "Many species are," Ho acknowledged. "But you are not, and I have spent many nights wondering why. What makes humans different? What makes you choose protection over domination?" Ho turned to face him. "I do not know if we are different. I think all species have the capacity for both good and evil. The choice is what matters, and we have chosen as a people to be protectors." "Why?" "Because we know what it feels like to be helpless, to be afraid, to face danger alone with no one coming to help. We have felt that. We have lived that, and we decided that no one else should have to feel that way if we can prevent it." Nodded slowly. "That is a remarkable thing." "It is not remarkable, it is simply right." The door opened again and Lieutenant entered. She looked excited, her eyes bright with news. "Captain, Ambassador, you need to see this." They followed her to the bridge, where the main screen displayed a live feed from the Galactic Council chambers. Hundreds of representatives were gathered, more than Ho had ever seen assembled at once. "What is happening?" he asked. One answered from her station. "A special session has been called. Representatives from every known civilization are attending. They are about to make an announcement." On the screen, Hai rose to speak. His voice echoed through the chamber. "Representatives of the galaxy, I have called this session to address a matter of great importance. For too long, our civilizations have lived in fear. Fear of raiders and pirates, fear of aggressive empires, fear of the unknown dangers that lurk between the stars." The chamber was silent, everyone listening intently. "For too long, we have each protected only ourselves, trusting no one, helping no one. We have watched our neighbors suffer and done nothing, afraid that involvement would bring danger to our own people." Paused, his four hands gripping the podium. "1 month ago, that changed. A ship from a species we had never met before appeared in our space. A powerful ship, armed with weapons beyond our understanding. We expected them to conquer us. We expected them to demand submission." He looked directly at the camera, as if speaking to Ho himself. "Instead, they offered friendship. They shared their technology freely, and when a colony was attacked, they rushed to help without hesitation. They risked their lives for strangers. They showed us what courage and compassion truly mean." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "Humanity has taught us something important. They have shown us that true strength is not measured by the weapons you carry, but by the choices you make. They have shown us that power without purpose is meaningless, and they have challenged us to be better than we have been." Straightened to his full height. "Today, I propose the formation of a new alliance. An alliance not of conquest but of protection. An alliance where the strong defend the weak, where resources are shared for the common good, where no one faces danger alone." He raised one arm toward the camera. "I propose that we call this alliance the Guardian Pact, and I propose that humanity lead it." The chamber erupted. Representatives shouted and argued and debated. Some were enthusiastic, some were skeptical, some were afraid. But slowly, one by one, hands and claws and tentacles began to rise. Votes of support, votes of agreement, votes of hope. On the Avalon, Ho watched in stunned silence. "They want us to lead," said softly. "They want us to protect the entire galaxy." "Can we do that?" asked. "We are just one ship, one species." Ho shook his head slowly. "Not alone, but we would not be alone. Look at them. Dozens of species, hundreds of worlds, all choosing to work together, all choosing to be protectors instead of conquerors." Stood beside him, his old eyes bright with emotion. "You have started something, Captain, something that has never existed before, a galaxy united not by fear but by hope." "We did not start it," Ho said. "We just reminded everyone what was possible." The vote concluded. The Guardian Pact was approved. In the days that followed, everything changed again. Ships from dozens of species began coordinating their patrols, protecting trade routes and vulnerable colonies. Resources were shared between wealthy and poor worlds. Scientists from different civilizations collaborated on new technologies for defense and healing and exploration. And at the center of it all was the HSS Avalon. Captain Ho found himself attending meetings with leaders from across the galaxy. Commander helped train pilots from a dozen species. Lieutenant shared weapon designs that made colony defense possible. Dr. Hana established medical exchange programs that saved countless lives. Lieutenant 1 coordinated communications between worlds that had never spoken to each other before. They were no longer just explorers from a distant planet. They were the heart of something new. 6 months after first contact, Ho stood once again on the observation deck of the Avalon. This time, he was not alone. Beside him stood representatives from 7 different species, all of them members of the Guardian Pact, all of them working together for a common purpose. "It is beautiful, is it not?" said, looking out at the stars. Ho nodded. "It is." "Do you ever regret it, coming here, starting all of this?" Ho thought about the question carefully. He thought about the battles they had fought, the lives they had saved, the friendships they had made. He thought about the people of the Velar colony, rebuilding their homes with help from a dozen worlds. He thought about little Myra, the girl with the wounded arm, who now wanted to be a doctor like Hana when she grew up. He thought about the brave girl who had kept 7 children safe in the darkness. She had received a scholarship to the academy on Earth. In a few years, she would be a pilot, just like she had dreamed. "No," Ho said finally, "I do not regret a single moment." A communication signal beeped. One's voice came through the speaker. "Captain, we are receiving a distress signal from the outer rim. A mining colony is reporting unknown ships approaching their position." Ho straightened. Around him, the representatives tensed. "Guardian ships are already en route," one continued. "But the Avalon is closest. We can be there in 2 hours." Ho looked at his companions, nodded, the others followed. "Set course," Ho said. "Maximum speed." The observation deck emptied as everyone hurried to their stations. The Avalon came to life once more, engines humming, weapons charging, crew preparing for whatever waited ahead. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Ho allowed himself one last moment of reflection. They had come to this galaxy as strangers, armed with terrible power and carrying the weight of humanity's troubled history. They had been feared and mistrusted. But they had proven themselves, not through force but through choice, not through conquest but through compassion. The universe had looked at their weapons and expected destruction. Instead, it had found guardians. And that made all the difference. In the vastness of space, the HSS Avalon raced toward another crisis, another chance to help, another opportunity to show the galaxy what humanity could be. Behind them, 100 worlds slept peacefully, protected by an alliance that should have been impossible. First contact with a human warship had left the universe in awe. And this was only the beginning.